Welcome to today's explainer. Have you ever looked down at a pot of soil and just thought of it as, well, dead dirt? Today, we're going to completely change that perspective. Soil isn't just some inert place for roots to anchor. It's an absolutely brilliant living ecosystem. And in this analysis, we're going to learn exactly how to feed, protect, and really revive that entire ecosystem.
I mean, we've all felt this exact frustration, right? You plant something for just one season, and suddenly the soil turns as hard as a brick, totally depleted of nutrients. Most of us just sigh, scoop up those heavy, dusty chunks, lug them to the trash, and then go spend more money on brand new bags of dirt. It's exhausting, and honestly, it gets expensive. So the big question is, do we really have to throw this old, hardened earth away, or is there a better way to keep it?
All right, so here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with understanding degraded soil, move into kitchen waste revival, look at the power of Trichoderma, explore biochar architecture, and finish up with legume cover blankets. Okay, let's jump right into part one, understanding degraded soil. Let's diagnose the actual root causes of this problem. Now check out this stark contrast between healthy living soil and degraded soil. It's literally night and day. One is beautifully porous, it's rich in organic humus, it holds moisture perfectly, and it's just teeming with active microbial life. The other, it's compacted, completely stripped of nutrients, and entirely devoid of biological activity. It's essentially the difference between a wet, bouncy sponge and a dry, lifeless brick.
So, what actually turns that nice sponge into a brick? Well, unfortunately, the main drivers are us. Things like the overuse of chemical fertilizers, a really heavy reliance on toxic pesticides, monoculture farming, and a crucial lack of organic matter replenishment. When we just dump chemicals into the earth and stop feeding it actual organic material, we literally starve the beneficial organisms. That breaks down the natural structure and quite literally turns the soil to stone.
And this really hits the nail on the head. The health of the soil ecosystem directly impacts the vitality of our crops, the quality of our water, and ultimately our own human health and our ability to sustain food production. Because if the soil is dead, there's just no way anything that grows from it can truly thrive. Let's move on to part two, kitchen waste revival. This is where we actually start feeding that soil again. So how do we transform that dusty, compacted dirt back into black, porous humus and do it without spending a dime? It's a simple four-step process. Step 1, break up the old hardened soil. Step 2, add your green vegetable waste. Step 3, mix in brown organics. And step 4, add microbial enzymes. If you follow this exact sequence, you're creating an absolute feast that completely regenerates the soil's microbiome. Now, a massive word of caution here. When you're adding that kitchen waste, stick strictly to vegan scraps. Vegetable stalks, banana peels for a fantastic hit of potassium, and coffee grounds for nitrogen. You absolutely must avoid adding meat, bones, salty foods, or cooking oils. If you add those, they're just going to rot, create a terrible foul odor, and basically act as a magnet for pests like rats and roaches right there in your garden. We definitely don't want that. Okay, so here's the absolute secret weapon for keeping your soil perfectly balanced and odor-free. Brown organics. We're talking about carbon-rich materials like rice husks, cocoa coir, or even just shredded paper egg cartons. By mixing these dry materials in with your wet, green kitchen waste, they act like a giant sponge. They absorb that excess moisture, creating the perfect balance, which guarantees your compost will never smell bad. Instead, it'll have this incredibly rich, earthy scent, kind of like a forest after a fresh rain. All right, that brings us to part 3, the power of Trichoderma. Let's introduce the soil's immune system. Meet the soil doctor. Trichoderma is this incredibly beneficial, antagonistic fungus that acts just like a natural bodyguard for your plants. It aggressively competes with and destroys harmful root rot pathogens, safely breaking down organic matter without ever needing to use toxic chemical interventions. And the real-world data on this is just wild to see. When you add Trichoderma, the density of deadly pathogens like Fusarium absolutely plummets. And, as you'd expect, going hand in hand with cleaning out that disease, it actively and significantly boosts the total fruit and crop yield of the plants. It's a total game changer. But it's not just about curing diseases like fusarium, right? Trichoderma actually accelerates the decomposition of all that organic matter we just added. This means it fundamentally softens and changes the physical structure of the earth. It improves porosity and aeration so much that root systems can finally breathe easily, stretch out deeper, and become incredibly resilient.
Next up, part 4, biochar architecture. Time to build some permanent physical structure. So, how do we make sure our revitalized soil stays healthy long-term? Biochar. It's created through a process called pyrolysis, which is essentially the thermal decomposition of organic biomass under very limited oxygen conditions. This ancient technique creates a highly porous, carbon-rich material, and unlike temporary chemical fertilizers that would just wash away with the first rain, biochar permanently upgrades the physical architecture of degraded soil.
Think of biochar as an indestructible microscopic housing complex. It creates a massive, porous surface area that brilliantly retains water and essential nutrients, all while naturally buffering the soil's pH levels. Most importantly, it guarantees that those beneficial microbes have a permanent home. Your precious water and nutrients simply won't wash away after heavy rains.
And finally, part 5, legume cover blankets. Let's talk about how to protect all our hard work.
Once you've built this beautiful living soil ecosystem, you need to protect it from the harsh elements using nature's own blanket. Planting a simple, low-growing legume cover crop is amazing for this. It acts as a natural nitrogen factory, actually pulling nitrogen right out of the air and fixing it into the earth. Plus, its deep roots naturally break apart any remaining compacted soil. Meanwhile, up top, the leaves provide a fantastic green mulch that shields the ground from the baking sun and stops heavy rains from causing nutrient runoff and erosion.
So there you have it. You now possess the complete biological toolkit to revive your soil. From safely composting kitchen waste and utilizing the Trichoderma soil doctor, to building a permanent biochar architecture and laying down a protective legume blanket. With these methods, you literally never have to throw away old, dead dirt again. So the final question for you is, are you ready to turn your kitchen waste into black gold for your garden? Thank you so much for joining today's explainer, and we'll catch you next time.